Guess what, bitch? Coronavirus! Coronavirus! Shit is real! Shit is getting real! Shit is real! Coronavirus!
What's up, everybody? Listen to the Rip 28 podcast where real guys talk about real things. Hey, make sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, like and share on all Facebook, and Twitter, Instagram, and all that. All right, I got my dogs with me. I got my boy, little brother, L. Beasley.
This L. Beasley, the educator's educator, here to talk about this thing, coronavirus.
I got my bro, Salt Man, Salt Dog. What's up with you, brother?
What it is, your man Salt. Let's get into it. I'm ready, baby.
Hey, and I got my wide receiver, my homeboy Drake. What up, baby?
Ain't nothing. Reporting live from the South. You hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said before, make sure y'all check us out. Y'all like everything, share it with everybody you know, man. We're trying to get our viewership up and get on. All right, we're gonna get started. Today's topic is about that Rona, that COVID-19, or more basically the novel coronavirus. We all know this is the biggest global pandemic that any of us have ever been a part of. It's affected all our lives in one way or another. People that we know getting it, people losing their jobs. I mean, this is a big deal. It's crazy. It's everything that's on the news. Every time you turn on the news, that's the first thing you hear about. So I'm going to open up to the fellas with my first question here. All right. How has the coronavirus affected you personally?
Man, with me working in the school system, I hadn't worked since March 15th. And it's just been a total lifestyle change. Everything I used to do as far as a daily routine has been stopped. Even with coaching, we started back for the summer, but we had some more outbreaks, so we had to start. So it's just been difficult, man, and a tough time adjusting. But I've been off work. I've still been getting paid, but being off of work and not being as active, it's been very different.
Gotcha. Anybody else?
Yeah, so my wife, she's a teacher, so I kind of know where Bron's coming from, and just the secondhand involvement from the education side. Even today, me and my wife, we was just talking about going back, and she's telling me about how the schools don't necessarily have the proper procedures and protocols to keep everybody safe. They're still going to be doing gatherings and not necessarily requiring masks and things of that nature. So for that side, I kind of have, to worry about my wife, and she's struggling, even if she should go back to work. It's that serious. And as far as my kids, the same situation, going back into classroom. Fortunately, the schools where my boys are at, they are virtual learning, but even still, there's some other kids that are still going into the classroom, like some of our neighbors. And I think it's just too soon, man. But for me personally, I haven't really had any family members directly or anything like that had get the coronavirus. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to work from home. So I'm not necessarily being put in that situation to be exposed as much. But it's crazy, man. I don't think any of us, nobody was prepared for this, and we still not prepared, to be honest with you.
Definitely not, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for the most part, I must admit, it's been like a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's been a blessing because, I just had my newborn little girl back in December. So it allowed me to spend, triple amount of time I supposed to have spent with her being if I was working. So that's the blessing part of it. But at the same time, as the curse part, I've been, out of work just as long as LeBron, you know what I'm saying? And, it's kind of like LeBron said, yeah, I've been out of work getting paid on the unemployment or whatever, the government, pulling everybody down. But it's like, we live in a false reality. Like, I'm literally like not doing anything and getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So of course I know that's not reality, but I know there's a lot of people out here probably like, living it up, feeling like, oh, this is gonna last forever. I'm always gonna be home getting paid, so I'm just kind of ready to just get back to work. I definitely, stay protected, I tell anybody, don't go out there, don't be walking around with no mask on, but definitely, it definitely changed the game. I mean, the biggest thing I probably also feel bad for is my stepson. He's gonna, basically not get to experience that first day of high school. Like, we was all coming into the ninth grade, seeing all these people, everybody walking around, everybody was like upper class, they know where to go. We lost, the seniors coming down the hallway, all freshmen to the pool on the fourth floor, all freshmen to the pool on the fourth floor. You know what I'm saying? And we looking like, wait. You know what I'm saying? So, he ain't gonna be able to experience that, like really like live and in action is gonna be more controlled the day he does step back foot in school. And so kind of take the enjoyment away. But yeah, coronavirus definitely has changed everything.
Yeah, they had that new outfit first day of school.
Got to be crispy, baby.
That first week. It's that first week.
That'd be 5 good ones.
Outfits
Hey,
lined out.
hey, but after that, it's all downhill. Basketball shorts, basketball shorts and sweatpants.
Hey, until you come back from Christmas break, then it start back over again.
You start back over again. You're right. Yeah, right.
For real though, man. We had a classmate that passed from the coronavirus that played football with us. So it's real for sure. I mean, some people not taking it serious, but you have to. Sure. All right. What do you guys think about sports coming back from high school to college to pros? There's a difference between the three.
Right. High school, I definitely, that's a no-go. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that's like an outlet for a lot of kids to be able to go to college, but health-wise, I mean, you just can't trust, kids to do what's right. I mean, I get high school, you're a little bit more mature, but you still can't trust. You can't trust everybody's home environment. You can't trust that everybody's clean, everybody's masking up, social distancing in public. I mean, you just can't count on that. College, I feel bad for them in a way because, I mean, it's a business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's so-called student athlete, but it's more like athlete student. So it's like it's a business. So, they're looking for that money because the football program pushes the school, you know what I'm saying, for the money they got from it. And then in the pros, I mean, outside of basketball with the bubble, I mean, that's about probably the safest situation to be. But I also feel like even in football, for college or pros, like, why can't they just do a bubble at a local hotel that's big enough to, the whole team? And you just be bubbled into that hotel, and they charter you from the hotel to the field, and y'all got to figure it out, But that's my outlook on it. But yeah, it's definitely high school, no, college. I mean, it is what it is, and pros is like at the same time. Like I said, I can't see myself walking away from $20-30 million when I mean, like I said, I haven't seen an athlete pass away from the coronavirus yet. I'm pretty sure they're taking care of them, boy.
I kind of agree with Dre because, the transition with college and the pros, they kind of work side by side, and you talking about people's kind of livelihood versus just for recreation or, just to play sports. So, I mean, if they can set the tone and the right precautions, like Dre said, maybe put them in a bubble or just have certain restrictions so that they don't have that threat, then maybe. But other than that, I think it really should be limited based on the sports. To a certain extent, some sports shouldn't really be a no-go. Because, I mean, basketball, you sweating, you rubbing up against other people that's sweating, you don't know what they may have or what their exposure. Football, same way. I mean, contact is constant. So if anything, I think some of the restrictions should be a little bit looser for, your tennis, golf, those that kind of naturally have the social distancing and limited, contact. So, but it's tough though. But from college, to the pros, I would say maybe if they have the proper stuff in place to keep everybody safe, but in terms of maybe high school on down, nah, I don't think it's worth getting kids sick because they don't. Most of them not responsible enough to, make sure that they stay, properly away or touch things and not wash their hands. So that's just my take on it.
I'm gonna take a slightly different approach, only because why is it okay for them to return to school in the classroom, and how are you gonna keep them socially distanced when you hadn't seen your homeboys, homegirls, your friends since March? What do you think they're gonna do? The first thing they're gonna do when they get back in these schools,
Hug and
dapping up,
yeah,
hugging, all of that.
right.
So we're still putting them at risk as sending them back to school. So what's different about football and basketball? I understand that that there needs to be more precaution, but I want you to think about this. Will it be more of a risk with high schools and middle schools changing classes, with some schools having upwards of 3,000 kids moving at once, and then putting them on a football field? So how do you feel about that? With 3,000 kids or more, or if you have 800 kids walking in the hallway, you can't tell where they've been. You don't know who they may have been around that was exposed to the coronavirus. So I just think it's going to be a lot of adjustment all throughout life, sports, school, work. So I just think the more we know about it, and like you said, it's a novelty to us right now. We don't know. So until we know more about it, I just don't know how we go about doing it. But that's just the
Double-edged
opposite.
sword, man. Double-edged sword. It ain't no right answer. It ain't no good answer to this thing.
Right, right.
High school wise, I know plenty of people, maybe me involved, that, if I ain't get no football scholarship, I don't know what I have went to college, you know what I'm saying? There's gonna be a whole bunch of people that lose out on that opportunity that maybe they weren't that good in 11th grade. Then the 12th grade year, there's a breakout season type thing, and now they running the streets or whatever. So I mean, it's crazy, man. But one question about, to kind of piggyback on what y'all said, Dre, you said athlete student instead of student athlete kind of deal. College wise, did this change what it means to be an amateur? Because they playing for free. The professionals are getting paid. So you putting these guys at risk because it makes money for the university. They ain't getting no money from it. You know what I mean? Should that change? If they make these guys play football and basketball and knowing these risks, they get paid for it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I feel like this is showing the world that college athletes are really low key professionals. Like, you can say they're young, immature or whatever. They're not necessarily grown, or maybe even physically built up to take the punishment of a pro football game. But at the end of the day, I mean, they bringing in billions just like those owners bringing in billions in the NFL. The players are getting paid. Patrick Mahomes, God bless him, $500 million. I'm like, come on, something got to give. Like, I know you won't give these college players no millions, but a few thousand. I mean, I don't see where it's hurting. I mean, I'm pretty sure Alabama program probably make dancing on over a little bit over $500,000, and Clemson, all these national programs. Like, pretty sure that money can be dispersed throughout the whole entire country for all of these athletes. Really, I mean, football, basketball on down. Don't leave nobody hanging. But there's enough money to go around. I mean, like I said, they got these staff like the Big Ten and the Big 12 is like, really, they're only talking about sports. Like, they getting paid, $100K, probably if not more, just to make a decision about sports for these, these certain schools or whatever. And the positions really, doesn't even need to exist, but it does. And so if you can pay them $100K just to sit around and, okay, this team need to play this team, and they're going to agree to have this 3-year extend, or they're going to play here, or whatever the case may be, hey, cancel some of them out and distribute some of that money down to the students.
Man, this shows exactly why college athletes should get some kind of stipend. Think about this. College football is a $4 billion a year industry. And the size of a billion, yes, billion plus. And that's just on, that's not the black market. You know how the black market works as well. But, But these college kids, yeah, they're getting a scholarship, but they're putting their livelihoods on the back burner because we all play college ball. You don't really have a life. They say the off season, but in college, there's no off season because someone's coming to take your job. Somebody's trying to get that scholarship that you have. You can't work because you have to go to school. You have these other commitments. Now, how do you help these kids? Yeah, you're giving them a scholarship. How about giving them a little something to help them eat? Put gas in their car. They do have a personal life. They may want to take their girlfriends to get a pizza or whatever. But I think they should. I think they should change that, and I think this shows why they should change this because they're putting their lives on the line while these presidents and these people, like Dre said, are getting paid X amount of dollars, and these kids are barely having enough to eat once the cafeteria closes. So I think it should definitely change it from being an amateur to even giving them just a couple, like Dre said, maybe a couple $1,000s a month to live off of.
I think this Corona is bringing that to the forefront, and people need to be bringing it up. There's a few schools out there I heard that kind of boycotting, saying they're not going to play and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes you got to take that hard stance. You know what I mean?
But I think that I totally agree with Brian said, and I think that's kind of a topic in itself we can, go on for days about. But I want to make a point specifically about this Corona thing.
Yeah.
It seems like even with sports, or just even going back to work, it seems like, man, people are thinking more about money part, versus people's lives. It's kind of like you're gambling with people's lives. I don't care how much money, there's being offered. Of course, you can get tempted by that, but at the end of the day, you're really kind of gambling with people's lives. I don't care what level of sports, college, pro, and it's kind of like, until it hits home or somebody personally, like maybe some of us have known, it's kind of like you lost that person. It's kind of like are we willing to lose the talent, the Michael Jordans or the LeBron James, because somebody decided that, hey, we're gonna open it up and y'all go out there and play. Is that truly worth people's lives? And it's not like we're seeing it going down. Things are getting better. It's just getting worse. So I don't really. I have an issue with the capitalist idea of opening everything back up, putting people back to work, pushing sports when, we're really not, we still don't know as much as we should about this Corona situation.
Yeah, I think the big thing about it is that probably 85% of people, say everybody in the world got it, 85% of the people, maybe that's a high number, but it'll be fine. Some people don't even get symptoms. Some people get sick, but they get over it. But the big part about it is they pass it on to somebody else who gets really sick or dies, So I feel, I mean, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I feel if I was to get it, I would make it through. But my thing is, protecting other people from getting it. There's a lot of old people in the community I live in. That's kind of the thing about my next question is about school. And kids may be fine, no problems, but they might be carrying it on to everybody else, you know what I mean?
The thing about it too is even those that get it and maybe they can kind of manage it okay and come out okay. Sometimes, or a lot of times, from what I understand, people get permanent damage, permanent lung damage. It's kind of stuff that even after they kind of get over it, the damage has been done for the rest of their life. You can pay for clothes, you can, buy a lot of different things, but you can't buy your health back, man.
True. And the biggest thing is we don't know 10 years from now what effects this is gonna have on us. You may be fine now. We don't. It feels like some type of cold flu type thing, more serious type thing, but who knows what's going to happen later on because we've never witnessed anything like this before.
Yeah, the thing about it is, though, you got to think the flu season is coming up. And with
Yeah.
kids returning back to school and things opening back up, we're not gonna be able to tell, is it flu, is it coronavirus, man? I just think going back now, like Mike said, it's risky for anything right now. We just don't know. And all we can do is really protect ourselves and take the precautions needed with masks and gloves and washing your hands and your clothes and things. But other than that, man, it's gonna be tough with the flu season coming up very soon.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Brian, in particular. From what I thought, well, I guess down here in the low country, they talking about kind of do like a A/B schedule, kind of running at like 50% capacity at the school. Like, I was thinking that might be better, but it can kind of control. I think they would only go to school maybe 2 days out the week or something like that, whatever the case may be. I mean, I feel like that's probably like the best thing for them. You know, like you say, they want to see their buddies. You know, they want to get out the house. Like I said, it ain't no different to me. You know, really, I hate to say it, but I want to go back to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. Yeah, I'm getting paid, but I'd rather be at the job, you know, like, so I can get some different interaction, you know, stimulate my mind from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? Hear about other people's situations. You know, this it's kind of, you know, relieve a little bit of this monogamy, just being in this house and, of course, like being with the family. Like, it's all good, it's all love, but at the end of the day, like I said, the
Tired of
reality
Andre.
is, it's just, let me get back in
You
rotation,
can go ahead and
dog.
say it.
I need to get back to it, man. Like,
That boy want to be like
Yeah.
Martin. Put him up
Hey, look.
out of here. Get that man.
But, you know, boy can go to work like, I got some of that overtime.
hell
Yeah,
yeah.
Hey, but
Something.
hey,
Hey,
but,
man.
but what y'all talking about? This brings me to the my last question. What about sending your kids back to school? And what kind of struggles and challenges will it cause for parents who got to work and stuff like that?
Man, that's a big challenge. I was blessed to have to be able to be at home with my son because we took me and his mom, we took him out of daycare because we at the time, I mean, it was a panic. We didn't know. Everybody was like, we shutting it down, school gotta be out. So with my job being as me working in the school system, teaching and doing discipline, I was able to stay home with them, which was a blessing. But I can see how it's going to be difficult for parents because with kids doing e-learning, first you have to think about their safety. Do you have somebody responsible enough to stay home with them to make sure they're getting their work done, to make sure they're staying on task? Then as a parent, you want to make sure that your kid is getting the best education that he or she can. Are they doing that with the AB schedule or the virtual learning or the e-learning? Who knows? And it's just a lot of challenges put before parents with kids, man, because if you have to work, you have to provide for the family. If you don't work, that's a struggle. If you do work, that's a struggle. So like you were saying earlier, Chance, it's just a double-edged sword. And I was, like I said, I was just blessed to have the ability to stay home with my son, and that my parents are retired, and they also help us out with the kids when they have a chance. So it's just tough, man, being a parent and trying to go back to work.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, you know, my job, it allows me to work from home on a regular basis. So going back to school with my boys, they're basically gonna be home with me virtual full time until further notice. But it's tough because both of them are kind of hitting two milestones. So my oldest is 11. He's going to middle school. This will be his first year in sixth grade. And my youngest, he's 5, and he's just starting kindergarten. So both of them are kind of hitting those milestones of school. But my biggest concern is my little one, you know, supposedly going into the, you know, elementary school. You know, he hasn't experienced it yet. So, you know, him starting that process on a virtual level is different. And I would have to kind of be there to kind of make sure he stays on course.
I say, you homeschool.
Yeah, and at the same time, you know, I got to do my own work. So, and I'm talking about a 5-year-old that's hyped all day, every day, you know, so I'm definitely got to stay behind them, you know, most of the day, throughout the day. So it's rough. I mean, it's just like we said earlier. There's no simple answer. It's just a different time in our lives. I never would have thought we would have seen something like this hit us, but it's here. We got to deal with it. So.
And so you decently smart, I guess, but so you can have
Get by.
you can actually help them in school. But there's some parents that can't teach them kids at the house, man. They're gonna be so far behind. I ain't talking about nobody in particular now, but it's gonna be like a free fall at the house, man, if they don't go to school.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like,
Jeez.
I mean, from watching my stepson this past, wrapping up last school year, he told me it was like he went from being like 15, almost 20 people in the virtual class in the beginning, down to like by the time it was over, it was like 7 to 8 of them. You know what I'm saying? So that goes to show right there that parents are slacking off or not being attentive to their children. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of it. I mean, especially, I mean, I hate to say it, but our community in the hood, minds are elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Priorities is elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, they look at school as almost a daycare. You know what I'm saying? So with them being home, like you say, I mean, their education ain't that high. So how you expect them to make their children's education better or help them with their education just in general? But I definitely feel like they need to add some type of certification for these kids to be able to come back, mask and gloves and hand sanitizer, like the school supply.
Hey, you talking about Salt is fairly smart. You said that? Is that
I
accurate?
guess it is. I didn't go to school.
Is it accurate?
What are you talking about, Bron?
Listen, all I'll say is just look at the guys he associated himself with, and you'll see if he's smart. Look to your left and look to your right. Look at Coop. Look at you and look at man. Go ahead, y'all. Come on, man.
What I'm saying is he capable. He should be capable enough to teach his kid, but everybody ain't got that.
The one in kindergarten. Yeah, he'll
Hey,
be all right when
well,
colors.
I'll be honest with you, man. About 8th grade math, I'm Googling everything.
Hey,
I can't keep up with this stuff no more, man.
The crazy thing is, man, the way they taught us to do stuff is
different.
I went and sat in a 5th grade class last year, math class, and they were doing long division. I showed them the way we did it, and the teacher looked at me. She's Jamaican. She said, "No, Mr. Brown, that is not right. We don't teach it that way anymore." And the kids said, "That's the easy." They said, "Mr. Brown, that's the easy way." Man, they took like 15 steps to do 20 divided by 4. I was like, it don't take all of that. But it's just different, man. So the way we were taught is it makes it look like it's wrong.
The crazy part about that, Bron, is too, even if like I teach my son, how I learned the easy way, faster.
Right.
They make them, do it the long way for them to get credit for it. Even if they can get to the right answer, how we learned it. They make them do it the long way. Even on tests is
that way. Even on standardized tests, you have to show your procedure, show your steps. I walk around because I have to monitor during those tests. I'm looking like, man, I'm so glad I came out in 98, man, because I couldn't sit here all day untimed. It's untimed. You have some kids that's done in 5 minutes, head down. Then you have some kids that literally stay all day. And you have to stay there all day in one classroom. I couldn't do it, man. I'm glad I graduated with y'all, fellas. Or right behind y'all, because y'all a little older than me.
This conversation right here just goes to show you what a struggle is going to be keeping these kids at the house. And it's going to be different, and it's going to be catching up to do. They may have to do some mandatory summer school or something a year from now, whenever this stuff gets done or something. But it's wild and crazy. My last question, I started with Dre. Your kids' school have any different options? Like, I think here we got 3 options. You can either not come to school, you can go to school or you can go a couple days a week type deal, something like that. So y'all got any different experiences in y'all regions of where y'all live at?
It's pretty much about the same thing. Like you said, virtual. Well, you don't have a chance to go every day, so it's virtual, partial, or you can go like I say, you can do a mix or whatever. So, I mean, like I say, even if you go, you're still doing like a mix, or you can go straight virtual. That's pretty much really two options, I should say then.
I think they say you gotta choose one and you gotta commit to it for a certain amount of time too. You can't be like, all right, I'm gonna do this and then change my mind. And then y'all got any other options?
It's basically the same for us in Columbia, man. It kind of varies from district to district, but in my district, we're starting out. Everybody's gonna start out on August 31st in e-learning in virtual school, and then I think we're gonna kind of do it like we're doing in football and fall sports, where we're gonna do it, break it back in phases, where you're gonna start going out virtually, then 1 day or 2 days a week, and then it'll progress as things get better, or to fall back as things get worse.
What about y'all?
They got it from one extreme to the next. So you can either go virtual full time, like you mentioned that you don't have the option to kind of go back into the classroom. So they said as of right now, if you go virtual, it'll be for the full year. And for those not doing virtual, they're going back into the classroom. They're basically going full time, like nothing's going on, like no corona is happening. So me and my wife, we weren't comfortable with that. Yeah, so we keeping them home. But yeah, it's crazy.
Hey, it's gonna be some teachers that's gonna be like Brown said, the black market. They're gonna be like, man, I take 10 kids at my house and teach them up for $200 a week. But they're gonna get rich. Hey, if I could do it, I would. But
hey, Ken, well, you telling them my plan now. You telling them my plan. Watch out.
That's why I say your name. Hey, that's why now you can give me a little percentage of that now, so I won't tell them.
Yeah, we'll talk about it off air.
All right,
Coronavirus.
Wild and crazy, man. That's all we got for today. Like I said, man, look us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, all that. Like, follow, subscribe. Holla at your boy.
Coronavirus.
You got that Rona. You got that Rona. They got that Rona.
All right. Let's see.